So today we're going to be solving rational functions and rational equations. And there's basically just a list of things for us to check as we go through and do them. There's probably going to be 2 of these videos because this is going to take us a while to get through all of this. So please make sure that you check for both videos. Okay, so I have a problem here. It says x over x minus x plus 3 is equal to 8 over x plus 6. And the first thing that I need to do is find a common denominator. If it already has one, then I can move on, but this one doesn't have one, so then I need to try and factor it. How do I factor x plus 3? Well, it's a binomial and it doesn't have a greatest common factor, so it's done. How about x plus 6? Again, it's a binomial. It doesn't have a greatest common factor other than 1, so it's done. So the common denominator is going to be x plus 3 times x plus 6. So that's what we have then. Step number 2, multiply each of the terms by the common denominator so that we get it to common denominator form. So what does that mean? That means that I had an x plus 3. But my common denominator is going to be x plus 3, x plus 6. So I needed to pick up one of these. So if I do that, then I have to also do that on the top. Whatever you add on the bottom, you have to add on the top. Over here on the second one, it already had an x plus 6, so I needed an x plus 3. Multiply the x plus 3 on the bottom means you also multiply it on the top. So there, step number 2. Step number 3. Now we need to reduce each fraction. So when we reduce each fraction, notice that the x plus 6 could be gotten rid of with the x plus 6. But I worked really hard to get those there, so I don't want to get rid of them. So then I need to go ahead and simplify, combine like terms on the top. X times x plus 6 and 8 times x plus 3 turns into x squared plus 6x equals 8x plus 24. Now, some of you are going to say, what happens to this? Well, it's the same as saying 3 over 4 equals what over 4? As long as I have a common denominator, all I really am interested in is what happens to the top of the fraction. So basically, I ignore the common denominator once I get it, and I turn it into a question with just the top of it. Step number 4 is combine like terms. Step number 5. Since those are squared, then I factor them and set them equal to 0. So that factors into x minus 6, x plus 4. And then I solve that by setting x minus 6 equal to 0 and x plus 4 equal to 0 and solving it. So that's the way you do that. Okay. I'll let you see these other problems. These are just example problems that I found. This one factors into 2x minus 1, 3x plus 3. This one factors into 3 times 2x plus 1. And this one factors into 2x plus 1, 2x minus 1. So what's the common denominator? It has a 2x minus 1 in it. It has an x plus 3 in it. It has a 3 in it. So our common denominator has to be then turned into, well, they factored this, so then I could reduce it, so this just has an x minus 1 in it and a 2x minus 1. So our common denominator is 3 times 2x minus 1 times 2x plus 2. Excuse me, 2x plus 1. Now that I have everything turned into a common denominator, then all I have to do is just look at what happens to the common denominator, set it equal to 0, factor it, and solve it. Okay, so let's look at one of these problems then. Again, CUDA software. There are 2 different parts to it that we're going to look at. One says rational equations 1, and the other one says rational equations 2. So I'm going to pull a couple examples from each one of those to look at. So question number 1. Does it have a common denominator? Question number 1. Yes, it has a common denominator, but it doesn't have a complete common denominator with what's there. So what's my common denominator going to be? It's going to have an m squared on it. It's going to have a 3 on it. So my common denominator is going to be 3m squared. So this problem already has the 3m squared, this problem already has the 3m squared, but this one doesn't. So I need to multiply that 3 that's already there and that m squared that's already there times a 3. Whatever I do on the bottom, I have to do on the top, to make it so that all of these now have a common denominator. And once I've done that, then I can just ignore the common denominator on the bottom and just go for 9 is equal to m minus 4 plus 2, and then just solve that for m. Combine like terms, subtract 2 on both sides, and get m equals 11. So that's one of the ways that you can do this. Some students like another way to do this, so I'm going to do most of the rest of these the other way, because a lot of students struggle with finding the common denominator and using it. So let's try another method on question number 7. Question number 7 says, looking at it, I need to find my common denominator. So, what is the common denominator here? Well, it's got an x, it's got an x, and it's got a, doesn't look like there's anything down there, so it's going to have a 1. So my common denominator is going to be 1x. Another way to do the same problem, and some students like this better, so I'm going to go ahead and do this method to show it to you. Let's multiply by the common denominator in each term. So that means that on number 7, I'm going to write it down as x minus 6 over x, and I'm going to multiply that by the common denominator, which is 1x. I'm going to take x plus 4, over x, and I'm going to multiply that by the common denominator. And then I'm going to take plus a 1, which is 1 over 1, and I'm going to multiply that by the common denominator. Now I'm making that a common denominator over 1 just so that we can see what's going on with that. So that problem then turns into this one. Now, why would I go through all the effort to do it that way? Well, because most of you don't like fractions, and again, you know we've seen this before in class. I'm just when I multiply by the common denominator, I'm allowed to mark those off, and it leaves me with just x minus 6. I'm allowed to mark those off, and it leaves me with just x plus 4. And I'm allowed to mark this off, except for I don't get to mark off the x, I can only mark off the 1. So I'm left with plus 1x. And now, all I need to do is solve that for x. That gives me 2x plus 4. Subtract 4 on both sides, give me x minus 10 equals 2x. Subtract x on both sides, and x is equal to negative 10. So that's going to be enough on this video. Again, we'll stop problems here. You can look at these two, and then look for part 2 video on the next one.